Yuji Itadori has just landed on the battlefield and is about to face the king of curses, Ryomen Sukuna. But after seeing Sukuna run through everyone that's been placed in front of him, is Yuji even strong enough to pose any challenge at all? In this video, I'll be going over some of the possibilities that we have for this fight and answer the question as to whether or not Yuji is currently too weak for the story. But before I get into that, I just want to give a reminder that if you enjoy watching the video, please make sure to give a like and subscribe as it helps the channel a ton, seriously. Anyways, now that Sukuna seems to finally be going all out and showcasing his true strength, I've seen a lot of people saying that our main cast stands no chance. Forget about Yuji for a second, but we just saw Sukuna destroy the two strongest characters in the verse. Not only was Sukuna already the strongest character in Jujutsu Kaisen before his fight with Gojo, but after being able to learn how to cut through space itself, he was able to straight up one-shot Gojo, the same Gojo that was previously relative to him. The amp Sukuna got from that fight was massive, and that was made even more clear with the Kashimo fight. I mean, he bodied Kashimo, and I know everyone is making fun of Kashimo because of how disappointing his CT was, but don't get it twisted, Kashimo is absolutely one of the strongest sorcerers ever. It's just unlucky that he had to fight Sukuna, which just makes you wonder, how does Yuji even stand a chance? Since he is the MC, you might think that reason alone already puts the odds in his favor, but Yuji's role as an MC is very different to other shonen. As he himself says, he's just a cog in a machine. Unlike characters like Naruto, Luffy and Ichigo, where they're either the strongest or at the very least in the top tier of the verse when it comes to strength, Yuji isn't really like that, or at least he hasn't reached that point just yet. To get a grasp on how strong Yuji currently is, we have to look at his most recent and impressive feats, which would definitely be his performance against 15 Finger Sukuna. He was able to keep up with Sukuna and even damage him at times, and when Maki and Yuji teamed up, it did seem like they were relative in terms of speed. So in terms of physical stats, I think it's fair to say Yuji should be around Maki level. And while yeah, that would make him pretty strong, you have to keep in mind that this was a heavily nerfed 15 Finger Sukuna. When we saw an actual full power 15 Finger Sukuna fight, he was able to blitz and one-shot Ryu, who should also be relative to Yuji and Maki. So if Yuji doesn't even scale to this 15 Finger Sukuna, how is he going to do anything to a 20 Finger Sukuna in his Heian form? Well, that's what I'm going to get into now. The first possibility is that Yuji's gotten an insane amp from the 1 month time skip. While it might seem like only 1 month wouldn't really do much, in Jujutsu Kaisen that is a very long time. Like in the span of a month, we saw Yuji go from grade 1 level in Shibuya to being able to tangle with special grade level characters in the culling game. So if he can go from grade 1 to special grade in terms of physical stats in a month, give him another month and bro could be a monster. I'm not saying he's going to be able to go hand to hand with Sukuna, but there's a good chance that he should at the very least be able to pose somewhat of a threat. Like, I'd be very surprised if Yuji doesn't get a big boost in strength from the last time we've seen him. Look at Yuta for example. Before the time skip, he should be getting blitzed and one-shot by 15 Finger Sukuna because of his scaling to Ryu. But post time skip, he saw Maharaga and Agito being able to keep up and damage Gojo, and he still thought he could take those two on his own. So yeah, expect something similar from Yuji. Also, don't forget the fact that he just watched his sensei die. Gojo's death will definitely have an effect on him, and it'll probably push Yuji into even greater heights. We know that strong emotions are the biggest contributors to increases in power, so the rage amp we're about to get is going to be massive. And as I said previously, it doesn't necessarily have to make Yuji Sukuna level. All it has to do is make it so Yuji is an actual threat to Sukuna and pose somewhat of a challenge. Next thing I want to talk about is Yuji's possible curse technique, and there are so many theories about what his CT could be, so I'm not going to talk about all of them, but with this week's chapter, we might have gotten some insight on what it could be. When him and Higuruma jump Sukuna from the skies, we see something on Yuji's right arm, almost like he has claws in his hands. We aren't really sure as to whether or not this is actually a technique, since if you look closely, it could be like a curse tool. He does have bandages wrapped around his wrists, so that could be an indicator of that, though I honestly doubt that's the case, mostly because these claw-like hands of Yuji have been foreshadowed ever since the beginning of Jujutsu Kaisen. The first time Sukuna took his body, we saw his right hand was very similar to the one we see in the chapter. And the interesting thing is that if you look closely at Heian era Sukuna's hands, they're pretty much normal. So yeah, it is very likely that this is something to do with Yuji himself rather than Sukuna. Though I do think if this is the only new thing Yuji has, it will definitely not be enough for him to compete with Sukuna. But we also can't forget the body swapping technique that's been hinted at. We've only just learned about this a few months back when chapter 222 dropped, but we can still make some guesses to how it could work. While this technique has only recently been revealed, Yuji being able to affect souls has been foreshadowed multiple times, especially with Yuji's dynamic with Mahito. I could definitely see this technique having something to do with bringing Megami back, since if Yuji really has these soul manipulation powers, he should be able to affect Sukuna and Megami souls, maybe even split them. In terms of actual combat though, I don't really see how body swapping would help much. Maybe he swaps bodies with Higuruma inside his domain and starts beating up Sukuna, but yeah, we'll just have to see. And then last but not least, probably the power up everyone is expecting from Yuji, his domain expansion. I've recently seen people talking about this everywhere. I'm sure you guys have also heard about Yuji's domain being a boxing ring, and I do have to say that shit would be raw as fuck. If Yuji's able to cut off cursed energy from him and his opponent, making it a straight hands battle with equal stats, then that might honestly be the best shot he has against Sukuna. Sukuna's forearms would definitely be a problem, but as we saw with the grasshopper fight, the setup for Yuji to defeat another opponent with forearms is already there, so I'd definitely not be surprised if he does manage to do so. Overall though, I guess a domain that disables cursed energy would be fire, but I would also like to see Gege come up with something a little more creative and complex for Yuji. I think we need to see what his curse technique really is first, since domains are basically just an extension of that. If his curse technique does turn out to be soul based, which I think it probably is, then Yuji's domain will likely have a focus on the soul too, which would honestly be insanely broken. Overall, while Yuji does seem to be a little weak compared to the rest of the top tiers in JJK, and especially Sukuna, there are so many possible ways for him to get stronger. Just look at how strong Yuji already is. And keep in mind, he doesn't even have a curse technique, no domain, no RCT, no nothing, just straight hands. Give him a few broken abilities and he's definitely going to be one of the strongest in the verse. And the crazy thing is, I haven't even talked about Yuji's connection with Sukuna, which could also end up giving him the upper hand in that fight. Anyways, if you enjoyed watching the video, please make sure to like and subscribe as it helps a ton. I'm probably also going to be doing more Yuji videos soon as well, since he's literally fighting Sukuna right now. The biggest fight in Jujutsu Kaisen is about to unfold right before our eyes. So yeah, comment down below how you guys think the fight's going to go. But other than that, I'm out. Peace.
Impossible, see the invisible. Row, row, fight the power, touch the untouchable, break the unbreakable. Row, row, fight the power, power to the peeps, power for the dreams, still missing piece, scattering so incomplete. We be that once incredible soldier from